Hey, everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan. And this is a website that I was sent a link to back last month on the 13th. And it was a big splash about a strategic collaboration agreement with the signing ceremony between Ripple and BitPay. At that time, I just didn't know if it was for real. It talks about this big event happening in Singapore on October 18th, and it was at the Marina Bay Sands. It was going to occur at 2 p.m. There were 100 plus participants. It was a coalition for a new innovative chapter. And I just feel sometimes there are too many traps in this space. And I thought that there was maybe the possibility somebody was setting me up to spread a false story. Yeah, I have to say I'm gun shy. So I emailed David Schwartz on the backside of Twitter, and I said, hey, take a look. A huge, big, beautiful site about an epic signing in Singapore with BitPay and Ripple. I want to be the last person putting out something that's not true. Well, David didn't respond to me, and I don't blame him, nor did I really think he would, because it's very difficult to confirm or deny when something obviously was leaked. But I do want to always be really, really careful. Whenever I get a piece of information, I do my best to confirm it and double check, and I couldn't do it on this particular story. So I sent, I sent the link to a few people who I am friends with in the zoo, and yeah, nobody could really help me confirm it either. So I just decided to sit on the story. And I think it's better safe to be sorry. And yeah, and looking back now with hindsight, I do think that I made the right decision, because if it wasn't supposed to be out early, then I took a lot of thunder from the announcement, and that's not fair. And also, you can just always bet that I am always double checking everything. I just don't have a lot of trust in this space because there is so much fake news and so many fake sites, and yeah, so many scammers. So I am just one of those who are extra, extra careful. Well, like I said, though, it turned out to be true, and we heard from Xpring that they are indeed partnering with BitPay, and they're excited to announce that they are going to do it with the world's largest crypto payment processor to natively support XRP, which will enable thousands of businesses to accept XRP payments through BitPay's merchant processing and cross-border payments platforms safely, securely, and compliantly by the end of this year. It's a pretty big deal because global commerce is expected to reach $6 trillion by 2022. And yet again, Xpring is driving it home for the use of XRP. They are on a tear. I think this is very cool. And as promised, I am reporting on the blockchain conference that took place in Tokyo yesterday and the day before. I wanted to give a chance for some of those stories to be written and published, and so I have pulled two stories out from the conference that I think is worth looking at. There were 3,000 people who attended this, and there were more than 80 speakers. So there was actually a lot going on. Mr. Okita, who is, of course, an SBI employee, he has been since moved into the university. So he's teaching at the SBI University. But he was on this panel, and it was a payments panel. They talk about how payments are becoming the new main battlefield of business. Their session discussed and educated the audience in regards to electronic money, virtual currency, and cross-border settlement. The boundary between the points, now you have to remember, like T-points is what Mr. Kitao is using to, it's the T-point card, which he did a partnership with. Those now can be turned into purchasing securities, and it will soon be able to, I think maybe it actually already merged into the use with the SBI VC trade. I have to double check that. But anyway, it is intended to do that. Points are a big thing here in Japan. Everybody has point cards. They are just crazy for their points cards. So the boundaries between points, electronic money, and virtual currency is disappearing, so they said. All right. And then another person who might be a surprise to you, or entity plus person, was the Facebook group. Yeah, this is all about Calibra. And of course, Calibra is the wallet for the Libra currency that Facebook is attempting to launch. And it was information brought by Catherine Porter. She is the business development director of Calibra. And for that wallet, yeah, she gave a good keynote speech. The speech was entitled, "What is Facebook? Libra Aiming for Japan Strategy." So the Libra Association, according to her speech, needs the power of the Japanese companies. And the Libra Association, according to the Monex Group, is highly interested in Japan. The Monex Group is who took over Coincheck after the hack, and they have applied to be a participant in the Libra Society. Interesting thing about Catherine, she is fluent in Japanese. Wow. All right, so the main objective that she outlined is to achieve financial inclusion. So Libra aims to stabilize the value by adopting a currency basket system. So it's similar to the special drawing rights, or the SDR, by design. It'll have 50% from the US dollar, 18% from the euro, 14% from the British pound, 11% from the Japanese yen. And interestingly enough, they excluded the Chinese yuan and put in the Singapore dollar. So in summary, Libra wants to make international remittances as easy as sending a text message using your smartphone. And they are looking to release this by 2020, which is what she said. Now, I do want to point out one thing that I think is important, and I always share really good sources for information, because this particular site is not aggregated. You know, some of those sites like CryptoPanic.com, CryptoPanic.com, which I think a lot of the content users use. It's good, but it's missing some of the really good news sources from the East. This is one that is in Beijing, and it's called Jinsei, and they are owned by Node Capital. I think that if you're interested in what's going on in blockchain when it comes from, they don't just cover the East, but it's a perspective that comes from the East. This is really a good source, and you will not find it on those aggregated Western sites. Okay, also, follow me now. This story, this part of the story, I think, is important to really understand where this space is going in a very fast way. All right, Carlos Domingo, he was a speaker. He is the CEO of Securitize. Securitize is a business that Xpring, the arm to push use for the XRP ledger and XRP, the digital asset, Xpring made an investment back in November 2018 in this company. At that time, Ripple stated that they see it as a massive opportunity. Why? Because it unlocks liquidity in a trillion-dollar market, and Securitize is able to issue security tokens, STOs, on the XRP ledger, for example. And if you just want to take a look here, I think this is important. I'm taking a very high level look at the space when it comes to who's getting involved here. So we've got Algo Capital, they're from Boston. Then you have Blockchain Capital, they are a VC group out of San Francisco. There's Coinbase, I know you know. Fenbushi Capital, they are out of China. Global Brain is Japanese. KDDI is a telecommunications company in in Japan. Kinetic, they are in Hong Kong. Mitsui Fudosan, this is real estate. And Mitsui is also, if you remember, the Mitsui Bank Trust, Sumitomo Mitsui Bank Trust just invested into MoneyTap. And then MUFJ, which is the #1 bank in Japan, and it's the 3rd largest bank in the world, 5th if you count in the banks in China, which are state-owned. But if you are looking for comparing apples to apples, it's like the 3rd largest in the world. Then there's Nomura Holdings. You're going to see this name a lot. They have become a very active player. They are in Japan. Then NXTP, they are in Buenos Aires. Then Blockchain Capital, OK Blockchain Capital, Hong Kong. Santander, everybody knows, that is Spain. And then Seed Capital, that's a VC group out of Europe. And Spice, did you know, is an investor of Backed. So Backed is one of their portfolio holdings. T3 at the bottom here is actually TokenSoft in San Francisco, and then you see Xpring. I just think it's very important to really understand the players in this space and how they are working together. So what are the securitized business models? Well, let me just briefly tell you that let's say you are a developer and you want to raise capital to develop a new mall project, but you don't want to do it through traditional means, so you can do it through an STO. Or another case study is, let's say you're a startup. Well, we saw a lot of ICOs last year, but an STO is more vetted, it's more compliant, it's more checked out, if you will, so that it protects the investor who is getting money. Of course it's risky, of course there's no guarantees, but it is much more, or I should say much less risky than the ICOs were that we saw in 2017 and early 2018. And then equity case studies. This is if you're a business, you're off the ground, but let's say you need capital to expand. This is another way to raise that capital. So think of it as a stock on the blockchain, okay? So in knowing that that is happening, on the 1st of October, SBI announced, along with Rakuten, they are the Amazon of Japan, who also operates an exchange here, they established an STO association. It's essential in Japan to have that framework for companies. So SBI expects the spread of STOs will revitalize capital markets. That's really important, especially with the financial slippery slope that we are all going down as of late. So it is believed that it'll improve the real economy. So Mr. Kitao is going to be the representative director, and companies like Daiwa Securities, they are involved. They just invested into MoneyTap, if you remember, a few days ago. And then the Monex Group, who I spoke about, they applied to be in the Libra society, they're calling it. And then there's Nomura, who I said was so active now in this space. Nomura Holdings is a monster company here in Japan. And then there's Mr. Kitao at the top of that association. He doesn't waste any time for expansion either, because one day later, he announced that he is going to get the Capital Market Service License from Singapore, the Financial Management Authority, and it'll be a new base for the comprehensive securities and financial products that are handled by SBI. Oh, so I have to take a breath. Have you ever seen so much movement like we've seen in the past 3 months? I haven't, and I don't think it's going to slow down. All right, everybody, I'm moving to the fluff. So yesterday, because I talked about where the blockchain conference was occurring was at my very favorite place to hang out in Japan. I got a lot of emails that people were asking me, well, so where is that place? Send me a link. I want to know. So it is worthy of a fluff story, so I'm going to give it some fluff. It really is dear to my heart, and you'll never find this on a tourist brochure, never. It's just not what you're going to find. It's kind of what I would call deep Tokyo. It's one of the small luxury hotels of the world, and it's very special. So I will tell you that it was built in 1931. In its day, back in 1931, it was very lavish, very magnificent, and kind of hyper kitsch, and I'll show you why in a moment. So the founder built it as a museum-like setting where you could enjoy the Ikki aesthetics. Ikki is something that is very highly valued in Japan. It comes really it was born out of the culture of Tokyo when it was called Edo, so more than 300 years ago. And Ikki means chic, smart, stylish, tasteful, refined, sophisticated, worldly. It is the essence of the best, and this is Gajoen. It is currently a tangible cultural asset, and it first appeared in the Michelin Hotel Guide in 2009. Yeah, Michelin also has hotel guides, not just restaurants. Here is one of the modern day rooms, very, very austere in Japanese sense. Very nice. Very, very nice. And here is the entrance. Okay, so when you walk in and you want to have coffee, I want you to go to the right. And that's the grand entrance that you see here. And you'll walk down this hall, you'll take a left, and then on your left, you will find one of the two cafes. This location actually has 5 restaurants, 2 cafes, a patissier, and 23 meeting rooms. Yeah, so the Cafe Pandora does not require a reservation, so you can go anytime. And because it's a hotel, it keeps very early to late hours, so that makes that very, very convenient. The reason why I go, there's a couple of reasons. It's not so much for the coffee, it's for the Ikki. And this is the view that you have from the floor to ceiling windows as you have your coffee. And it is a koi garden. And I just love the koi. I love them so much. This is nishiki koi, which are the prized koi. These are the koi that are super special, and they're bred for their color. They're very friendly. You can pet them if you so want to. They'll come up to you and they'll let you give them a little tap on the top of the head. They don't mind. The babies are inside the hotel. There's a small river stream that flows through the first floor of the hotel, and that's where all the little babies are. So I actually go to see the koi and just experience all of the Ikki this luxury hotel has. Here's an example of one of the traditional tatami floored meeting rooms, and it has a stage. So this stage would be appropriate for the use of an entertainer of the arts, like if you invited a geisha to perform and dance and sing. This would be a stage that would be appropriate for that kind of event. And then also you can see the Western style room. This is actually the room that the blockchain group used for their conference yesterday and the day before. It's beautiful. It looks really elegant and magnificent when it is set. I think this is set for either a wedding or an event. This is a big wedding hotel. There's lots and lots of people over the course of, wow, it's been a wedding destination for, more than 70 years. So this is, you'll see a lot of brides in kimono when you're also having your coffee, which is really a fun treat. to see. Then if you walk in, remember I said go to the right, but if you go to the left, you're going to see the original portion of the hotel, which has not been changed at all. And there are 100 steps. At each platform of the steps, there are special banquet rooms from 90 years ago, and they are in their original state. 6 of them in all. I'm only going to show you a picture of one, but all of them are fantastic. And this is just so special that they have kept it in its original state. And they put on events and exhibitions every month in these rooms. And those exhibitions change out like every 2 months. You might be lucky to go and see the Girls Festival for Dolls that happens every year. This event repeats every March. I think I have seen dozens of events, and some of the events are traditional, some of the events are not. Some of them can be very contemporary, like this one here was an ikebana in a very contemporary way. They even brought in a false floor with water to get the reflection from the artwork and the light. Amazing. They don't hold back at all. And the price to see the exhibitions is always really reasonable, like around $10. I mean, it's just not expensive. I will tell you though, the lines on a weekend can be a little daunting. So the timing is probably important to be able to get in without having to wait too long. And if you go, you might see the Nebuta display, which are the painted paper floats that come from the culture up north in Aomori. This was fabulous too. But every 2 months, there is something new. So anyway, now you know, deep Tokyo. Take care. Sayonara for now. Bye-bye.